Hi there, I'm Lisa Taylor, and this is Ideas on Truth. Welcome to the program. I come on here very regularly. I try to come on almost every night, very regularly, and talk about the ideas that I've grown up with, the spiritual laws that govern our lives, whether we recognize them or not, whether we understand them or not. They are in existence and they govern our lives. The laws of life, of truth, of love, the law of abundance, the law of alignment. There are many, many laws of harmony, many spiritual laws that we can turn to at any moment and heal and save and enliven and enlighten our lives. So that's kind of what the show is about, Ideas on Truth. We cover lots of different topics. I try to share ideas that have helped me, just stories from my own experience, and in the hopes that it will help any of you who are watching. So do join me regularly. I love having you here, and I love the emails that you're sending me, ideasontruth@gmail.com. I thank you so much. I just absolutely love hearing from you. And several of the shows that I've done have come from ideas that you've sent in the emails, and let me know what you're thinking and ideas that you'd like to hear about. So anyway, enough about that. On to intuition. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story that happened to me several years ago, but if your time is short, I just want to say the main point of this broadcast is, if you have an intuition, if you have that little thought that comes to you, that still small voice, that little whisper, trust it. Trust it. We all have intuition. We all have the capacity to hear spirit, to hear truth. We all have the capacity to tune in to our spiritual sense and our highest sense of self and hear that still small voice, that deep knowing that brings a sense of calm when you hear it. We all have that ability. So the point of this particular program is trust your intuition and listen to it and follow it. And if you feel prompted to share it, even with a complete stranger, like I did, and I'll tell you a story about that, do it. Just share it. Just trust what you're being told. So that's kind of the point of tonight's show. But I wanted to just tell you a story. Hey, Elo, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Several years ago, my dear, dear friend's husband passed on very suddenly in a boating accident. And, they actually never found out if it was an accident or if it was foul play. And there are many theories around all of that, but that's not what that's not the story I'm going to tell you. But when he passed on, she lived several hours away from me, and I had two small children and needed to sort of get them taken care of before I went up to help her. And that night I had a dream vision and had a very clear sense of where he was. And I didn't trust it enough because it was such a huge topic and it was about my friend's husband and he was missing. I wasn't sure if I should trust this vision. I just wasn't sure. And so I told her about it with trepidation and said, look, this is what came through to me. I have no idea what it means. I just want to share it in case it's important, and I tell you this. So I told her where he disappeared on this lake. He'd gone kayaking on this lake and had disappeared. And I told her where in my dream he was in this lake, and that he was caught under these brambles in a certain part of this lake. And this actually isn't the story that I was going to tell you, but anyway, this is coming up. So she said, oh no, that's not possible because his kayak was found on the other side of the lake over here, and that's like way on the other side of the lake, and like farther away. And I said, well, I have no idea. I don't really even know the lake, so I just wanted to share that for whatever it's worth, if it means anything. Well, 30 days later, when his body surfaced, that's exactly where he was. So at that point, when that occurred, I realized when there's an intuition that comes through, just trust it. And there have been many, 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 many instances where I've heard things that I have trusted and passed along, and it's been good. And there have been times when I haven't trusted it, and it would be good that I did. Well, there's this other time, it was actually right after that experience. I was heading off to an event that my husband was holding in opening this building that he had just finished building, and they were having a ribbon cutting, and I was heading down to this big event, and I'd forgotten my camera. This is kind of before camera phones, before cameras were in phones. And I raced into this little quick drugstore to pick up one of those disposable cameras. And I'm standing in line, and the people in front of me at the counter are talking about someone who had recently departed. I don't know, the person behind the counter knew the person in front of the counter, and they were talking about this person that they mutually knew who had just passed on, and it was very sad. And I shared a bit of the story of what had happened with my friend's husband and what I had kind of seen. And so this very tall gentleman the other customer standing in front of me, turns to me and very kind of abruptly says, "Oh, so you're psychic?" And I said, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't sort of claim to be, but sometimes things just kind of come through. And so he says, "What do you see about me?" And it was like very intense, kind of in my face. And I said, "I'm so sorry. Nothing is coming through. I don't know. And, sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, and I don't really know." So he was kind of disappointed, and then he'd made his transaction, and then he left the store, and I did my quick transaction and I left. And by the time I was done, he was kind of halfway across the parking lot. And as soon as I saw him walking away, I got this like whoosh of information, like that's kind of these thoughts, this intuition just came to me. And I raced after him to tell him, and I caught up with him, and I said, "Sir, I something just came through. There's something I need to tell you." And I didn't know this person from anywhere. And I said, and it was very kind of cryptic. It didn't even really make sense to me. And I just said what came to me. And I said, "I know you're facing a big decision in your life, and you're trying to decide between two big things. The one that you're afraid to do, that's the thing that you need to do." And he stood in front of me kind of in shock, and he started crying, and he said, "You have no idea how you've changed my life." Now, I didn't know anything about this guy. I'd heard him speak to me for 2 minutes. I saw him walk across a parking lot. I knew nothing. So this information that came through to me that was a message to him, it wasn't coming from me. So those intuitions that may seem, humanly speaking, crazy to us, to human sense of things, they're not crazy. Intuitions, spiritual intuitions, pure and perfect. Mary Baker Eddy, who wrote this book, Science and Health, that I quote all the time, talks about angels being God's thoughts passing to man, spiritual intuitions, pure and perfect. These spiritual intuitions that come to us, trust them. Trust those voices that come to you, that come in a form that aren't our own thinking. We can tell. I mean, when that intuition comes to you and it is an idea that needs to be heeded. Trust it and pass it on. And don't be afraid to say something even to a complete stranger like I did. I knew that when these ideas came to me, that it wasn't for me. This was a message for him. It was very, very clear. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. I know that you have these all the time. And when we are open to the ideas, the angels, the God's thoughts that are passing to man, those spiritual intuitions, when we are open to them, they come to us and we can utilize them. They are for help. They are for healing. They are for uplifting. So trust your intuitions. They will help you. They will save you. They will help someone else. They will save someone else. Don't let them slip by. So that's my message tonight. I know that it's kind of a lot. I'm sharing more, and I'm sharing more freely things that I have always been kind of scared to share, because I've in the past been afraid that it's going to make me look a little bit crazy. But I'm not scared anymore, because this is my life and this is my experience, and I have to trust that my experience is what it is and share it with whoever wants to listen or needs to listen or can get something out of it, but I'm not afraid to share anymore. So on this program, I'll probably start sharing more and more of these stories that seem a little bit out there, a little bit unusual, not kind of run-of-the-mill standard stories. But I've grown up with these spiritual laws, and I trust them. I trust God. I trust intuition. I trust that deep knowing that we all have. And the more I utilize it, the more I trust it, and the more I can tune into it. And we all have the ability to do that. So I just encourage you to get still and listen to that still small voice and trust the intuition that comes to you. And that's it. That's all I have tonight. Okay. I love you guys, and thanks for listening. Please do be in touch. Let me know your stories. I would love to know your intuition stories. Those are like my favorite things. So email me at ideasontruth@gmail.com or message me through Messenger. That's always a possibility. And I'm available. If anybody feels like they want to work with me, please let me know. And I love working with people, so let me know. All right. I love you guys.